everybody, welcome back to Everyday Barbecue. My name is Mike, and today, or I should say tonight, we're going to be doing an overnight smoked brisket out on the Camp Chef Apex 36-inch pellet grill. This should be fun, and it's going to be over-the-top delicious. Coming up right now. Hey everybody, once again, welcome back to the channel. I really appreciate all your support. Don't forget all the links down in the description that you can support me and the channel. Website link, Patreon is down there, the join button for the channel, and all those good things. I do want to thank Market House for sponsoring this video and generously providing the brisket. More on Market House a little bit later on in the video, including a special discount code for anybody who watches this video, and there'll be links down in the description for that as well. Now, this is a grass-fed brisket. To prepare this brisket, I just tried to cut that fat side down to about 1/4 inch, and there were some areas where some discolored fat needed to be removed, so I went ahead and did that. For the top side of this brisket, I removed as much of that fat and silver skin as I possibly could to give us the most possible surface area for our rub to stick to. And when I do that, I just like to cut on an angle and try to think about aerodynamics. As this brisket cooks, it's going to be releasing moisture, and I want that moisture to be able to roll off the meat so that we can get a really good bark. I also like to get fresh edges around the brisket, so I will trim around the sides as well. This is a beautiful brisket, and once I got that top trimmed, I exposed all that beautiful surface area with all that marbling. I can tell this thing is going to be phenomenal when it's done. And I also like to make a cheat incision across the grain before I season this, because that way, when I take this thing out and go to cut it later, I'm going to be able to use that as my guiding light to slice this thing absolutely perfectly. Lastly, I went ahead and seasoned this up generously with an SPG or salt, pepper, garlic rub from PS Seasonings, and this is going to give us some really nice texture on the outside of this brisket. Now the brisket is all prepped. I'm just going to let it sit here and hang out for just a little bit. The Camp Chef Apex is already preheated, and all I'm going to be doing is putting this on the cooker, getting a probe in it, and cooking it on high smoke setting overnight, which is about 220 degrees. Now with a pellet grill, there's not a whole lot of interaction. There's not a whole lot I'm gonna have to worry about throughout the night, but I'll probably still sleep with one eye open anyway. And if I do any checks that I think I wanna bring you guys along for, just keep in mind this video may get a little bit YouTubey, because I'll probably only bring my phone out there and have that camera, that light, and that audio. So come on outside with me, let's get this on the cooker, and I'll bring you along for the next checkup, whether that be in the morning or sometime during the night.
All right, good morning, everybody. It's 7 o'clock, so I slept all night. Didn't get any alerts from the cooker, and I was pretty tired. We painted my son's room all day yesterday before we filmed the prep work and, you know, all that stuff last night. So anyway, I was tired and I slept. Checked on it with the app a couple times and everything went well, so really didn't need to get up. But anyway, I'm rambling. I have not looked at this brisket yet. I have just come out here, and you're going to get a look with me. So let's open this lid. Okay, here we go. Oh yeah. Well, that is looking really good. And you see, this is what I want to show you about my trimming. If you see these areas where moisture are coming out, they're rolling off of the brisket, so they're not pooling on top, and that is something that's really important if you want to build good bark. So I can already see that my bark is in pretty good shape, and let me go ahead and get this lid closed. Okay, first off, I'm sorry I'm on the iPhone right now, but I didn't feel like dragging cameras out here. I just opened my eyes. So again, I told you this video might get a little YouTubey. But let's talk about that temperature. So this brisket's sitting at 160. It is in the stall right now. I like my bark, but I want to let it get a little barkier before I wrap. And anybody who's been in barbecue for any length of time is going to tell you that it's really not about temperature when it comes to pre-wrap. It's about the bark and the color. If you have the bark in the color you want, then you can go ahead and wrap. But if your bark isn't set, in other words, if you can't touch the bark and it doesn't move, then the bark is not set. And if you wrap, you're going to lose whatever little bit of bark you have throughout that wrap. So just keep in mind, always look at the bark, look at the color, and if that's right for you and that's what you like, because keep in mind again that when you wrap, the bark will go backwards. So if it's just kind of where you like it and you wrap, it's gonna go backwards. So, you know, let it get a little bit beyond what you consider good, so that when it does come back and it does steam in that foil or in that butcher paper, that it's still going to be good. And it's because the bark is where so much of the flavor is, right? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let this go for a little bit, and right around time to wrap, I'll bring the other cameras out and we'll get this thing wrapped. So I'll see you then.
All right, it's been about 11 hours now, so another 2 hours has gone by since my last checkup that I did with the iPhone a little while ago, and this brisket's still in the stall. I'm sitting at 164 degrees now. This brisket started out at about 14 pounds pre-trim, so I don't know exactly how much I took off of it with the trim, but you know, you can usually figure an hour to an hour 15 minutes a pound, but there's a lot of variables to that. Anyway, check this thing out. It looks beautiful. I've got my other camera here set up. Let me make sure we're focused. And just take a look at how good this bark is. This bark is really, really nice. It's not moving. And this is ready to be wrapped. So what I'm going to do, let me get this lid closed. If you cook with pellet cookers, always remember to keep the lid closed as much as possible, or it messes with their brain. Okay, so here's the plan. We're going to wrap this now so we can get it through the stall, and I'm just going to kind of lay out the plan for you on how I'm going to finish this, because I'll probably b-roll it until the end. B-roll means I'm just going to take video footage, and then at the end, when I'm ready to, after resting and everything, and I'm ready to slice, that's when I'll bring you back for some live video. But what we're going to do now is we're going to wrap this in some butcher paper, and then I'm going to place some foil around it like a boat, and you'll see what I mean. What that's going to do is it's going to preserve the bark on top, but it's also going to help steam the brisket to break it down and tenderize it. By the way, I have kept my cook temperature in that 220 to 225, but after I wrap it and put it back on, I'm going to increase my cook temperature to 275 degrees. At that point, it really doesn't matter. It's perfectly safe to raise the temperature, and it's going to help push this thing through the stall and get this cooked done a little bit quicker. The finishing temperature with this, typically it can be anywhere between 190 and 205. All briskets are a little bit different, and when you have a higher grade cut like this, sometimes they could be done a little bit earlier. So the way you're going to tell is when you go to probe this, because you're always going to use an Insta-Read thermometer, and I use my ThermoWorks for that. I'm going to probe this in several places, checking for temperature, but more importantly, checking for tenderness. When that probe goes in and it feels like peanut butter, in other words, if you were putting that probe into a jar of peanut butter, that's when I know I'm going to be pulling this brisket and resting it. So the brisket is resting in the Cambro. We're going to let that go 1, maybe 2 hours, and then we'll be slicing into it. And I wanted to take this opportunity to one more time say thank you to Market House for sponsoring this video and generously providing the brisket. Market House focuses on quality, marbling, tenderness, juiciness, and flavor. They will not send out a cut of meat unless it meets all of those standards. Market House only sources meat from high-quality farms, farms that meet the same ethics, sustainability, and quality. Now, you can shop online anytime at their website, and as a part of this video, they're giving you 10% off site-wide. There is a code you can enter at checkout, but there's also a direct link that you can click on down in the description that'll automatically activate that 10%. So I'll have all that information down below, in addition to all the social media links for Market House. Remember to please support those that support me. It would really help. All right, now it's time to get that brisket out of the Cambro and start slicing and seeing just how good we did on this cook. My dog Javi and I, we can't wait for this.
Javi, you want brisket? Speak. Speak. You want brisket? Tell me. Do you want that brisket? You want it?
Look at how juicy that is. This pulls right apart. We've got a beautiful smoke ring here. And using that bolt method with the foil and the butcher paper, my bark really stayed together much, much nicer than when I just go all foil. So I'm gonna be using this method from now on. All right, here we go. Let me just pull a piece of this apart. Cheers, everybody. Oh my goodness. I'm going for more. All right, so this was about a 15 pound brisket. It stayed on the cooker for 15 hours and it rested for 2 hours. Oh, just a little under 2 hours because I couldn't stand the smell anymore. Neither could my dog here, Javi. He loves brisket. This brisket really turned out very, very juicy. So high quality piece of meat. Thank you, Market House, once again. We really appreciate it. And I really appreciate all of you out there. So thank you very much for hanging out with me today. I'll have all the details for stuff that I use down in this video in the description. I hope you enjoyed this adventurous cook with me. I really appreciate all your support. I gotta get my dog some brisket. He just will not stop. Take care till next time. I will see you on the next episode.